What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Knuckles YouTube channel. Today is, I guess, World's Week episode 2. Yesterday on Monday, we saw us, me and Justin, go over the Manectric Crobat Seismitoad deck. This time around, we also have another Manectric deck, but this time it's Mega Manectric Garbodor. Kind of touched on a little bit in the last video, but Justin, what do you think about this deck?
Like when you originally told me about it and you said Mega Manectric Garbodor, I was like, okay, that's cool. Mega Manectric's good, Garbodor's good, cool. But then you're like, no, it's with Tool Drop, Trubbish, and you attack with it. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Yeah. So I don't know. It seems like the Trubbish should help out your fighting matchups. Before we go into Trubbish too much, I'm gonna pull up Mega Manectric and we'll look at it just a little bit. So Mega Manectric has Turbo Bolt, 110, attached to basic energy cards from your discard pile to one of your bench Pokemon. How much do you like this attack, Justin?
Man, it's really good, and I don't know, it's weird. Mega Manectric's really good. It's got an amazing attack. It's energy acceleration. It's got free retreat, but you haven't really. I mean, you hear about Mega Manectric, but you don't at the same time. There's a Mega Manectric that made top 8 at U.S. Nationals, but other than that, I can't think of anything that it did super amazing at that you're like, wow, okay, cool. But it's always been on the radar, but it's just so good, and the fact that you can power up a Trubbish in one turn as opposed to attach, pass, attach, then you can attack. It's awesome.
That's very true. I know the last time I heard about Mega Manectric actually doing great was, I think it won a regionals in a fairies deck. I think it was Michael Slutsky. Might be wrong though. I know I did an interview with him and he's probably mad that I don't remember who it was. But he definitely won a regionals with Mega Manectric, and it was just cool because you can get back your fairy energies and stuff with Mega Manectric. So
right.
But I'm gonna pull
Plus, you can max potion it, retreat it, send up the Mega Manectric that you attached to last turn from Turbo Bolt, and then just do the cycle over and over again. It's so good.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, Rough Sea's out too. Rough Sea's still 30 damage for each of your Mega Manectrics. If you have 3 or 4 out, you could just move like you said earlier. It has free retreat, so you could just retreat to a different Mega Manectric. Rough Sea's it, all of them basically. Maybe eventually by the time you send up the other one, you'll hit 90 damage off, maybe 60. But Garbodor's, I think it's probably one of the best abilities right now. Garbodor Toxin to shut off all the abilities off. You don't have to worry about Clang anymore. You don't have to worry about fairies.
Right.
KLDO can't rush in a retreat. I mean, what are some other decks? Shaman.
Yeah, Shaman definitely. Jirachi that we play in our deck. Freezing Genesect, it shuts off Vernowen, but we don't really play any poison Hypnotox lasers or anything. But it's really good. I mean, it won U.S. Nationals with Seismitoad, so it's a good card. It's been good since really since Floatstone came out, but it's been good regardless since before then too.
True. Now I'm gonna pull up Trubbish. Now Trubbish has we've heard about Tool Drop before. Just by itself, it was a big deck kind of with Trubbish and Sigilyph, and you just have so many tools attached to Sigilyph, and eventually you just start tool dropping for 200 plus easily with 4 tools attached to a Sigilyph. But I mean, Mega Manectric's biggest problem is fighting decks, and I think Trubbish solves this problem with tool drop. What do you think about it?
Yeah, it definitely improves everything. It's still not a one you don't go from auto loss to auto win, but you definitely get a humongous fighting chance because it does take a little while for them to two-shot or to one-shot your Mega Manectrics. Especially a Groudon version or a Donphan. Landers might be a little bit easier. Hawluchas can never one-shot you. But having that second, especially it's a one prize attacker, so we can play the 7 prize game. It definitely helps out.
That's true. I mean, another thing to note too, if for some reason you're playing against Clang and you don't get your Garbodor out, you could just attack with Trubbish.
Right, yeah.
Same with Hippowdon too. I mean, if for some reason Hippowdon's big at Worlds, you could just tool drop and just knock out a Hippowdon
Oh
fairly
yeah.
easy. So
hmm
I don't know. Do you think that Trubbish is enough to beat Groudon though? It's to be a question though.
I mean, it's tough. It depends on how fast. Like if they can get like a turn three Groudon, like you're gonna have a bad time. Like it's gonna be uphill the entire way. But if it takes 4 or 5 turns, like they're not hitting their energies or they're not hitting their Mega Turbos, and you have time to start and you can get a head ringer on it, um, then I think you have a really good chance. But if they can get it going like turn three, maybe as late as turn four, it's still tough. But you definitely have a better shot with it as opposed to without it.
And I know a lot of people when they see this deck, when you play against Groudon, they're gonna think like, "Oh, I have to go straight for Trubbish. I have to start powering up." But the thing, like Justin said, they're not gonna start attacking until turn 3, 4, 5. So
Mm-hmm.
you want to actually start turbo bolting first. And like Justin said earlier, with this, you can just attach two energies from your discard pile to a Trubbish, and by turn 5 or 6, you have like 2 or 3 Trubbishes ready to go. You're gonna two shot their Groudons, and if they don't have another one powered up, what are they gonna do?
Right. And like in that matchup, unless you're really hurting for like a Jirachi or a Shaman, like you don't even have to evolve into Garbodor. Like there's some matchups you don't need Garbodor or Garbodor or whatever, and you can just use Trubbish. And I mean that's really cool too. Like it has the versatility of okay, I can use it, or I'm just straight using all three Trubbish for an attacker.
Yeah, it's very true. Now, I guess the next up, people are going to think it's kind of weird. Like, you're playing Garbodor, but you also play Shaman and Jirachi. But, early game, if you don't have, maybe you need to draw in some cards. Maybe you have, like, I don't know, you need to keep a Garbodor in your hand and you don't want to Jirachi it away, like, to grab an N. You can grab Shaman.
hmm
I haven't really seen a lot of people do this, but with this deck, I think you have the space to play the one Jirachi just in case you do need an N or Sycamore turn 1 instead of just getting a shaman, hoping like please let me hit a supporter. You can just guarantee that. What do you think about the split on the 2-1 shaman Jirachi?
I really like it because it's like you said. I mean, turn one or turn two are really, really important, obviously, because they're your first turns of the game. But sometimes you do have a full hand that you can't necessarily shaman for or discard anything for, and you can use the Jirachi. And like I mentioned earlier with the Groudon and other matchups, you're not necessarily going to have Garbodor out there, and so you can you do have more opportunities to use shaman, to use Jirachi. So I think Jirachi's been again. It's fallen out a little with Shaman coming out, but its ability is amazing. Get any one supporter you want. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's true. Like you said, maybe if you're playing against a deck that you don't need Garbodor, you can just Ultra Ball for Jirachi late game to get that crucial Life Center to take the last two prizes if you need
Yep.
to. Because we do play two of those, so if you discard one early with the Ultra Ball Battle Compressor, you can just save the other one for a Stellar Guidance. And same thing if you need like a Juniper or whatever, you could just late game they end you down to two. You're like, oh, I have an Ultra Ball because we play four of those. So you can just grab a Jirachi, play it, and
Yep.
then get the cards you need.
Yeah. Like I feel like that would be such a like deflating thing to happen. Like you get into one, your opponent ends you to one or two, and they're like, yes, here's my comeback, and then you just like Ultra Ball, Jirachi, Juniper. Sorry.
They start crying like, oh, I didn't even slow them down.
Nope.
So I guess we're gonna start talking about the trainers and supporters. How do you like
hmm
the one battle compressor in this deck? I've seen some play none and some play two or three. It's a very weird card in the deck. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I would rather play like I think with this deck, especially with the tool drop, I think you do need to play one because you're not always going to draw into those psychic energies. Sometimes you prize one, sometimes you prize two, and to have that battle compressor to be able to get it out, I think that would be like at least one psychic energy would be like a must discard for battle compressor unless you've already like done one with an ultra ball or something like that. Um, Two might be real like might be the optimal just to have just like if you do prize it or if something happens. I think three might be a little too much just because things happen and it might just be a dead card. But with two, that might be more optimal. But one's fine.
Yeah, that's very true. And you talked about the psychic energy some, and like early game we played the four Verse Seeker, so
Mm-hmm.
and for some reason you drew a battle compressor and a Verse Seeker with no supporter, you can always do the battle compressor, discard some supporters play, and Verse Seeker for it to actually get you out of that, which is pretty nice. Yeah.
Right.
So I think if a deck always has room for battle compressor, like if you like, oh, I know 56 of my 60 cards, I would always try to put like one battle compressor in just to test it out first. And if you're like, oh, I really need this card instead, then that's when you start cutting battle compressor. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
now, computer search best ace spec for this deck? Yes, no.
100% yes.
Okay, yeah. I mean, just consistency, getting Mega Manectrics. I mean, whatever you need at the time, which is always great.
I mean, like I'm just thinking things through. Like it is the best, but just to be, you could play Dowsing Machine. If you really do need to get something back, but I don't think so. You could get really, really cute and do like a gold potion. I don't know, but I don't think I would ever do anything other than computer search.
Yeah, true. I know, the Sidestone Manectric deck did have, you talked about Rock Guard, but that was because you're attacking with Sidestone and they can't get it off. But I think consistency is definitely the better option here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, two max potions. I know there was a Trainer Talk tournament. Brandon Cantu kind of played a list like this, but he only played one max potion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how many do you think is great for this deck?
I definitely think this deck should play Max Potion, just because you do have the Turbo Bolt and it does have free retreat. I don't see why you wouldn't. He probably had a good reason. I don't know his list that he played,
True.
but I mean it makes complete sense. Like you don't have to worry about being stuck active unless you're asleep or paralyzed. But you get hit for 100, 150, 180, 200, and just to retreat Max Potion and then swing with another Manectric, and you have two again. Like it makes sense to play it.
Yeah, it's true. And like you're kind of saying, Max Potion, you have to discard all your energies, but if you could just retreat to another Mega Manectric, you could just Turbo Bolt 2 back onto it, and it's basically like you didn't do anything but heal your Pokemon for full HP, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Now, for Ultra Ball, discard energies, discard supporters, very great. I mean, probably should know why this card's in here.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for supporters, do you see any supporter that maybe you could play instead?
I mean, I think with Toad being so prevalent, like I could definitely see a Xerosic being added in here, because you're playing with Tool Drop Trubbish, like you do want to get all your items down, and if they start Quaking Punching you, you're stuck with what you got, and so maybe a Xerosic to try and buy you a turn, that might help. Or if somebody puts a Head Ringer on you, you can definitely use Xerosic on yourself, on your own Pokemon, to take the Head Ringer off. That's probably the only other supporter I would add in here. Just kind of looking at it.
Yeah. I know one supporter card that maybe you could put in here is Pokemon Center Lady. If you notice in the list, we don't play any Switch or Escape Rope or AZ or Super Scoop Up. So if they do happen to laser you, and you stay asleep, you could, Pokemon Center Lady, heal all of the conditions off, heal 60, and then you can free retreat with maybe a Floatstone since we do play 4 of those.
Right.
But even, like, I don't know, it's weird because you have to Verse Seeker for it, just in case, and the chance of you staying asleep is 25%, so,
right.
Do you take that gamble and just see what happens or not? It's a big question here.
Yeah. I don't know how I forgot about her, but I did. But yeah, I mean, she's really good. I think it would kind of be. I think with the Xerosic, it's kind of like the 61st card. Like, what would you cut for it? I don't really see many things that I would cut. Maybe I don't know. It'd be tough.
Yeah, I think if you wanted to play a PCL, first of all, it has to be full art. It's probably the best full art supporter we have in the game. I think. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's up there. It's up there. AZ. I mean, I think AZ looks really cool, but Pokemon Center Lady is pretty awesome.
Yeah, but I think if you want to play PCL, I would definitely cut a Max Potion, and that way you can just like Verse Seeker for Max Potion every turn and just heal that like 60 damage. And with the Rough Seas, you can heal 90 like a turn basically,
right.
Like which is pretty cool there.
Because that's like not many other decks are hitting for more than 100, 120 like each turn. Mm-hmm. So maybe if you went that way, like healing 90 a turn, like that probably is enough to kind of wipe away what just happened.
Yeah, that's true. I guess next up stadiums. We played the three rough seas. I know some lists are playing four, and we've
Hmm.
talked about Shrine of Memories some.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider playing Shrine of Memories in this deck?
I definitely would. Again, it's just a space issue.
True.
I wouldn't feel comfortable going down to two rough seas. Like in a perfect world, it would be four rough seas and like one shrine of memories. But it's again, what are you taking out? Because anytime you can set up a Garbodor that has two energies and a float stone, or and you can attack with Garbodor and do a tool drop, that's really cool. I think that's something that would be neat and might catch somebody off guard who wasn't really paying attention to what Trubbish you were playing. Um, but I think it's one of those things that would be nice, but it's not necessary.
Yes, true. And just in case, if you don't know what Shrine of Memories does, it lets you use your like previous evolutions attacks. So Garbodor, it can use Trubbish's attack, and Mega Manectric, you can use, Manectric EX attack, which I mean could be good if you need a
Mm-hmm.
Salt Laser for 120 for some reason instead of 110. Maybe there's some math in there. I can't figure out the top of my head where it might matter, but I mean maybe it might matter.
Yeah, I mean, part of it could be you have something you don't want to attach energy to, and if you're in that position with a Mega Man Electric and something like only a Jirachi on the bench, you're probably in a bad position already.
Yeah.
But you're not probably not wanting to attach energy to something like that,
True. Yeah.
or an evolved Garbodor, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, like, so if you can find space for Shrine of Memories, maybe one's enough. But the question is, can you draw into the one Shrine of Memories? And it's like, if you play the one Shrine of Memories, do we cut the computer search for a Douse Machine? That way you can get back at a crucial moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's all weird scenario things that you're just going to have to find out what you like the most.
Right.
Now next up is the tools. We play the four float stones. Just in case you start shaming or Jirachi, you can float stone and retreat it. Like I said, you don't play any switch or anything. And obviously, you want to attach it to a Garbodor because Garbodor has a 3 retreat cost, and float stone gives all your Pokemon free retreat. Played the 3 Spirit Links, obviously for the 4-3 Mega Manectric. Headringers to slow down EX Pokemon and to build Tool Drop. And now the next questionable item is a Muscle Band. You do 20 more damage. Now, some people are playing Silver Bangle instead, but what do you think about Muscle Band?
I can see why they would play Silver Bangle. Obviously you only attach it to Trubbish, but Muscle Band, like there are gonna be times that it will help with Mega Manectric, or just Manectric in general. Like you don't necessarily have to evolve into Mega Manectric. You can just have like you play a 4-3 line, so in theory, like one of them is not going to evolve. So you can always put a Muscle Band on that, and again, you can do 40 with Overrun, or 80 or 140 with Assault Laser. Like I like it. Like it's great for Trubbish, but it's also like it can benefit more than just Trubbish.
That's true. I know the main reason you have Muscle Band here is for Trubbish, so you actually start. You can hit Groudon for a little bit more damage or whatever. And if you
Mhm.
play Silver Bangle, it does plus 30. Groudon has 240. The math doesn't really change. You might hit like 230 instead of 220, but by then you still can overrun for a knockout or whatever you need to.
Mhm. Right.
And I do like the two head ringer. Do you think the deck needs any more?
Again, more would be nice, but it's not necessary. Because if you play against a deck that doesn't have EX Pokemon, those are just dead cards. And I think having two of those is okay, in those kind of matchups. But anything more than that, that's 3 cards. That's 4 cards that you're just like, well, that's cool. I'm just going to discard these. I have zero use for them. Um, but like I said, in the last video, you can put them on another Shaman. You can put them on a Seismitoad if you can get it down early enough. Putting a Headring on a Seismitoad is such an awesome feeling. Like it's not more things make my heart happier, but
Just turn one, you just attach to it, and they're like, oh man, now I need a Zoroark or an AZ or something, or I just have to
yeah.
attach 3 energies, and by then, I mean, yeah, that Toad's probably dead by then.
Yeah. Maybe putting it on an Evrizian when I was playing Toad, that was a good feeling, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, in this matchup, it doesn't seem like you have such a bad BG matchup. I mean, you have Garbodor shut down Red Signal. You don't really have to worry about Verdant Wind because you don't play Laser.
Hmm.
Usually, your head ringers are going to go to a Genesect because I mean G booster's like the most threatening thing.
Right.
So
Right. Because you're healing off 30 every turn, so it's not a huge deal if they put a do 70 with Emerald Slash.
true. Now I guess the next thing I know I've had people ask me about this. Play 6 lightning and 3 psychic. Do you think the 3 psychic is enough to actually tool drop?
Yeah, because I mean, you only need one. You only need one Psychic and one Lightning, or two Psychics. It's plenty fine. You don't need more.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you can always like attach the psychic to Mega Manectric, and then you can max potion later and basically
Hmm.
have it in your discard pile. For early game, like for like oh, I only have a psychic energy in my hand, I would just go ahead and attach it because Overrun only needs a single colorless energy. So why not guarantee your energy for the turn?
Right, right, yeah.
So that's a cute thing you do there. Now, matchup wise, I mean, we talked about Groudon a lot. Like that's probably the deck's like worst matchup. But besides that, what are some other matchups you could think about that could be bad for us?
Um, I mean, Kyogre's kind of weird just because you're swinging for 110. They have 240 HP, but they have Rough Seas too, so they're healing themselves. And they're definitely they're doing more. They're doing more damage to you. So that's iffy.
But
Um,
you gotta remember, it gets Kyogre also. They can't rush in and retreat, so I mean they have to hit like double energy every turn, or
right.
they're gonna have to pay that 3 energy cost to retreat the Kyogre. So that's a
Yeah. Yeah. Garbodor definitely helps in that. I'm trying to think of anything else.
maybe like a quad Halucha deck, but even then you just heck with Trubbish. So I mean like the threat of just like multiple just Haluchas beating you, it's not that
Hmm.
big either.
Right. And they are weak to lightning. So.
True, you could just overrun them with a muzzle band to knock them out.
Hmm.
I know we talked about Wailord last time, but what do you think the matchup with Mega Manectric in against Wailord is? Now, in top four of nationals, Grant actually lost to Enrique. Grant was
Hmm.
playing Mega Manectric, Garbodor, and Polion,
Yeah.
while Enrique was playing Wailord. How do you think the matchup is now for the Mega Manectric player?
I think it's a lot better than people might think it would be. I was actually watching Grant and Enrique play, and every Whaler deck plays Suicune, and so you have a Garbodor out there, and preferably two, maybe one Magmanectric that you're just attacking to, and even if they lie standard up, you can keep putting energy down on Garbodor, even if they take off your tools. Um, something I can't remember what exactly happened, but I think there just wasn't enough energy on the Garbodor and it got Lysandered up, Crushing Hammer, just stuff like that. So that's I think what cost him the game. But doing 110 every turn and being able like energy denial doesn't matter because you can just go back to the one on your bench. Having Garbodor and especially playing 4 Floatstones now, like that's huge because you can just put another one on there if they Xerosic it off. Um, I think this has a really really good matchup against Wailord. Like outside of like Quad Bumblebee, I think this probably has the best matchup against Wailord.
True, and something like you said just a second ago with Garbodor against Suicune, you don't even need to have Garbodor out in that matchup anymore. I think you can just have like just a Trubbish with the Floatstone just chilling there, and eventually just have like a Psychic and a Lightning energy on them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if they get unlucky, they don't have energies, you can just eventually just load up a Trubbish and just kind of like knock them out if they're not energy denying you every turn.
Mm-hmm.
Like the best option is to have two Mega Manectrics, like you said, a Trubbish out, and then actually load up the bench Mega Manectric first, so that way they can't like Team Flare grunt you. They have to, if they play Crush Numbers, they have to get lucky and hit heads.
Mm-hmm.
That's a
Yep.
big thing too. Now, matchup wise against other decks, I mean, we have Rayquaza, but Mega Manectric hits for weakness, and even if they play Altaria, you play Garbodor,
Yep.
Night March, they have to actually tackle Pumpkaboos or Joltix because Mew doesn't work anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean that's still like anytime you're going against one prize attackers, like it's still going to be a harder matchup. Um, but like the only other like one prize attacker that has seen play. Like you do have Donphan, which can be a little tough, but again, they're not really one-shotting you. And then Flareon, but they have to discard so many Pokemon to just knock out one Mega Manectric, and you're knocking out everything with your other Mega Manectric. So that's not really a terrible matchup. It's actually pretty good in the Manectric player's favor. Like I said, Metal, Garbodor shuts it down and turns it close to an auto win for you.
And Mega Manectric has resistance to Metal to even like worsen the dreams even more for them.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you have a tougher Hippowdon matchup, but you do have Trubbish. Like Trubbish just helps out against all those other matchups that were maybe an auto loss. Again, doesn't make it necessarily an auto win, but you do have a greater chance of winning.
That's very true. I'm trying to think of anything other like decks that might be out there that might like Groudon, like we said, Evoltal, Mega Manectric.
Yeah.
I don't even know. I mean, all across the board, like we've been saying, is you have Mega Manectric for most matchups, and if for some reason they have something that beats Mega Manectric, you just have Trubbish there to punish them.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. But,
yeah. The only deck that I could see, and again, Trubbish helps. This video talking about Manectric, the last video talking about Manectric. There's a lot of people talking about Manectric, and so it's like, okay, Manectric, and it has a really good matchup against Seismitoad because they're doing, maybe 50, maybe 80 a turn, and you're doing 110. Like the math just works out better for you. Like maybe fighting comes back, like Landy Bats with like maybe a heavier Lucario count. Donphan coming back, but again, the Trubbish helps. Like if you don't play the Tool Drop Trubbish, I think that's a terrible mistake. I think you need to play this version just to cover your auto losses.
Yeah. I guess like you said, like Landy and Lucario, both of those attackers have one energy attackers. Lucario can hit you for 30. Landers can hit you for another 30. It snipe a bench Pokemon. Maybe the Headrigger can help out some, but it's kind of shaky.
Yeah, there's only two of them, and then like turn one, like they can knock out a regular Manectric. With Hammerhead, that's 30. Muscle Band, that's 50. With Fighting Stadium, that's 70. With a Strong Energy, that's 90. Like they're knocking you out. And if they're playing Crobat, like they can ideally with one energy knock out with a Golbat and a Crobat a Mega Manectric in one turn with one energy. Like it's crazy.
That's true. But the thing, you might say there's going to be always that weird situation of, all right, if Manectric's getting hyped, then all right, we're going to play fighting. But then what if you play against a guy who doesn't care and just plays Toad anyway because Toad's just a good deck overall?
Right.
Just a weird cycle that Pokemon always has, and it's going to be up to you to decide, which one do you like more, which one has the better matchups, and that's the big question here. Both the decks that we talked about yesterday and today have really good matchups overall against each other. They're like, I feel like maybe Mega Manectric Garbodor has a little bit in favor, but even then it's too hard to tell because the other deck has the lasers and item locks you. This one shuts down abilities and can energy accelerate. So it's
I think that's actually like a really weird matchup too because it does play Xerosic, so it can take a tool off of Garbodor. They limit your items and your tools. I would say that this and Toad, Manectric, Bats are probably the top two decks in my opinion, like hands down.
Very true. Yeah, I can't. Besides these two, I can't think of anything that has such great matchups across the board. I mean, even like you said, Landy, it's not good against Toad. Groudon's not good against VG, and even Toad can beat Groudon now. Like we talked about yesterday, you have the Crobats and Golbats now to actually knock out Groudon. So is Groudon even that good of a play? That's the big question. It depends on how many Mega Manectric decks there are going to be.
And it like you said, you either want to play, play this deck or you play something that counters it, and you risk if you're over preparing or taking too much for this matchup. You risk your other matchups, and so if you go with this, obviously you need to know how to play the mirror match, and it's such. I was playing it Saturday, and and it's a little bit different. I don't always play on PTCGO, so I actually decked out because I wasn't paying attention. But I was doing damage with my own Manectric, and I was like, all right, cool. I'm gonna knock out his Manectric, and we're gonna be great. But I forgotten that he was rough seas, using rough seas. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so frustrating. And he just retreated in max potion. I was like, this is awful.
Anything else you want to say about the deck before we close out?
Um, I mean, it's really good. Like if you choose to play this deck at Worlds, like you're gonna have a great chance of if you're playing on day one to make day two, or if you're playing day two to make top eight. Like there's like I would not be shocked if this won Worlds either, or had a strong showing in top eight, or just just a strong showing in general in day two. Like if you told me this time next week, hey, this won Worlds, I'd be like, shocker.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
didn't see that coming.
Yeah, but I mean that's the reason why we made this part of the 3 deck series is because it's. I mean, this is like number 2 on the list for sure. I'm not sure which one is better. There's not like a preference of yesterday that one's better than this one. It's just happened to be the way we uploaded it. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something new about Mega Manectric Trubbish. Even like Justin said a week ago, he had no idea that this thing wasn't even a deck. And then I told him about it and he started freaking out. And now he's like, oh my god, it's probably one of the best decks in the format right now, if not the best.
I do wish it wasn't known, but it is what it is. Like, whatever.
Oh, it'll be okay. Just practice the mirror match. If you watch this video and you're like, all right, this deck seems really good.
Yep, you got 2 days.
No, 3. You got
3.
Yeah, you got 3. Technically, I guess you could test them Friday morning before the whole tournament begins. And if you're going to Boston Open, you have 4 because that doesn't begin until Saturday. So
there you go.
A lot of choices. Like I said, for some reason, there's a weird deck that does like day 1 goes 8-0 or 9-0 or how many rounds we have, and you're like, oh man, this deck seems really cool. Then you could just like YOLO and play that deck.
Mm-hmm.
But if it goes 8-0 or 9-0, it obviously probably beat this deck because it's probably a strong deck shown at Worlds. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. If you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button. Tomorrow we'll actually have Justin will not be here anymore.
Mm-hmm.
If everything,
not good enough.
if everything works out, we should have, I guess, the primal god himself, Kevin Baxter. I guess that's safe to say. Probably the best primal player in the game right now.
Oh, yeah. Hands down.
For sure. But, yeah, that's exciting. We'll have Kevin on here tomorrow. But hope you enjoyed. Hope you have a great day. Alrighty, bye.